that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger. It's no accident. It's Bidenomics. That's Bidenomics. That's investing in America. And guess what? It's working.
Inflation rising.
Gas prices are surging.
Our border is in chaos.
We've seen millions of illegal immigrants pour over the border.
Shootings, carjackings, and robberies happening by the day.
We have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies, it would take so much time to list them.
Inflation's not going away.
People can't afford groceries.
Prices have skyrocketed.
Shelter up 20%. Energy costs up 30%.
Israel has declared it is at war.
Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
Bad for working families, bad for American jobs, bad for the world order and stability.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 148 of Is This Thing Working? How you doing this morning, Denise?
I am awesome. Did y'all hear President Trump's new video ad that's out? Bidenomics is bad. It's bad for you.
The crazy thing is, as I'm sitting there listening to this, I'm thinking it wouldn't shock me if this was a Biden campaign commercial because they seem to be proud of what they're doing, man.
You know, and it's amazing. Well, you know, I don't know if they're proud so much as they want you to be proud to pay more at the grocery store. They want you to be okay with paying more at the gas pump. They want you to just love them,
right,
for your insurance costs, housing costs, everything that. And where do they come up with this information that, you know, they can go out there and tell the American people, hey, this is good for you?
Well, they're liars, and they're professional liars. And that's why I said what I said about, you know, if you didn't know any better, is because if you just heard the audio of Biden, you would think he stands there with all the confidence in the world and lies to you and says this. It sounds as though this is his campaign. It's crazy, but
it really is his campaign. Yeah. And that's the funny part. That's what President Trump is letting you know. This is what he's running on, is Bidenomics.
Is destroying America.
And wanting you to be okay with it and vote for them. Oh, yeah, go ahead and vote for lost wages, lost everything that you have lost, credit card debt out the yin-yang.
Yeah. Well, and just for an example, like when we were at the store the other day and we're talking about the price of a bag of Ruffles. And we're here in rural America. We're here in Deep East Texas. So our prices do tend to be just a little bit lower than others, but still, that bag of Ruffles potato chips that we were looking at, not a grocery store cardboard sign with stencil on it or whatever. No, this was a stamped on from Ruffles, from Lay's or whoever in the hell makes that potato chip, but that stamp said $7.29.
For a bag of Ruffles.
For a bag of chips.
And you want to know something? It was smaller than the Ruffles that we used to get.
Exactly.
I was like, you want me to pay $7.49 for this bag of Ruffles?
And I know that's just one of 10 million examples of the prices of
I
everything.
love Ruffles, and now all of a sudden I can't eat Ruffles because I'm not paying $7.49 for Ruffles. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's the principle of it. It's a math exercise now. Every time you walk into the grocery store, man.
Yes.
I mean, really, it is a literal math exercise so that you can come away with something for a little bit of nothing.
That's exactly right.
That's a hard task to pull off nowadays.
It is. It's hard.
It sure is. Before we get started today, though, let's remember our sponsor. Today, our sponsor is Brickhouse Nutrition. And one of the great products that Brickhouse Nutrition has is Field of Greens, your daily dose of vibrant nutrition, packed with organic greens, fruits, and vegetables. Each scoop delivers essential vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Simply mix with water or add to your favorite smoothie for a refreshing boost of vitality. Fuel your body with the goodness it craves. Experience the power of Field of Greens and thrive every day.
I love Field of Greens. I have some myself. I use it every single day. It gives me energy. You know, after I get through drinking my coffee, of course, I have a green drink, and I love it, and I put it in my green drink. It's part of it, and they have different flavors. I have the wild berry, so check them out. Thank you to our sponsors and for you for clicking on the link below. Get you some Field of Greens. You'll feel better for it.
It's www.brickhousenutrition.com.
And before we start this show today, we want to state these are our opinions and our assertions, ours alone. If you agree with us, tell your friends and share the show.
And if you don't agree with us, tell your friends and share the show.
Also, stomp that like button and please follow or subscribe wherever you see the name. Is This Thing Working? And our podcast is available for download on all platforms like Apple and Spotify. And you can see us on YouTube as well. Just download wherever you listen.
And make sure you download the Rumble app so you can follow us, you can follow our show, and you will receive instant notifications when we go live, which is every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you, and let's get on with the show.
Let's do it. Let's see, we got Trump Watch today, every single day.
Yes, we do. And what's going on in the Trump world?
Let's see. Debate tomorrow on CNN. Everybody knows this already. CNN debate. It's going to be wild to be looking for that. We will be live streaming on Getter and Rumble if they allow us to simulcast. I think we're going to try to go through Fox News because Fox News also told us this morning that they're going to simulcast. So obviously CNN hasn't done anything to them.
You know how I am. We're going to do it anyway.
That's right.
I don't care.
We are.
If they don't like it, that makes me want to do it even more.
Me too. Also, President Trump will be in Atlanta, Georgia today to host a meeting with black leaders at the Barbershop Roundtable. That should be very interesting. So we'll be looking at that.
And we'll be bringing you our comments and postings on that on our Facebook page, on X, on Getter. Those places we will definitely be commenting on it.
Yeah, we'll be paying attention to that. That's for sure. Oh, and another thing. The Supreme Court came out with 2 rulings today.
Did they?
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, I seen them.
You know, there was one, they were both, okay, it was Murthy versus Missouri, which was a very important free speech case. And then there was Snyder versus United States. So we're going to start with Murthy versus Missouri, and that was the free speech case. This is the decision that reversed the Fifth Circuit, which held that the communications by governmental officials with social media platforms made the government officials responsible for the platform's content moderation decisions. The Fifth Circuit Court, Barrett writes, was wrong to do so. The challengers contend that the restrictions that they experienced in the past on social media platforms could be attributed to the defendants and that the platforms will continue to censor their speech. But the court rejects that, Barrett says, saying that the platforms had independent incentives to moderate content and often exercise their own judgment. To be sure, the record reflects that the government defendants played a role in at least some of the platform's moderation choices, but the Fifth Circuit, by attributing every platform decision, at least in part, to the defendants, glossed over complexities in the evidence.
Yeah, that goes on to say that the Fifth Circuit was also wrong, the court said, in treating the challengers, defendants, and social media platforms each as a unified whole. The challengers needed to show that they were injured with regard to each platform and each defendant. Look at what they're trying to say right here is that this has no standing because the person that brought it wasn't injured or harmed individually or independently, but what he was doing was coming in there to represent us as a whole and say that what is going on is hurting people. To me, that's the real case, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And, you know, Missouri, who brought the case,
yeah,
you know, their stand was, well, hey, you harmed the people of my state.
Exactly.
You know, so I find that this whole thing right here is a big dig for free speech. Where do we go from here is a question that I wonder about.
You know what I continue to do? I continue to speak my mind and use my speech freely as I choose to, because I agree with what Tucker Carlson said the other day when I was watching the interview with him and Glenn Greenwald. And many times Glenn Greenwald would bring up topics about being able to speak freely, censorship on the internet, governments trying to suppress your speech. And Tucker said this, and I understand what he meant by this. Tucker said that I'm a human being and I'm free to speak whatever and whenever I choose. And if you're against that, you're my enemy.
Yes.
Tucker didn't mean that Putin was his enemy. Tucker didn't mean that Zelensky or any other country or leader was his enemy at that point. If this government and these courts tell me that you're allowed to suppress my free speech, you are my enemy.
That's exactly right.
I'm well enough to understand that by you suppressing my free speech, you may not harm me directly, but you harm others. And that was, to me, that was the whole point of this.
Yes, and another thing that I noticed is during COVID, people were harmed by not getting the right medicines,
Yes.
by listening to, misinformation. Totally. I mean, we were given misinformation from our government.
Yes.
Where was the harm there?
Where
lots of people died because of this vaccine.
Wear your mask.
Or this
Yeah.
mRNA.
Yeah, wear your mask because it will protect you. That's misinformation.
We were
Is it
given
not?
misinformation. So what, in
Exactly.
essence, they said is the government, it's okay. It's okay for the government to lie to us every single day. It's okay to go to social media and just totally destroy people's livelihood on here because they're telling the truth. You know, and Sean Davis come out and he made some really good points. And he said the Supreme Court's ruling and opinion on the widespread federal government campaign to censor and banish accounts that shared factual information about ongoing government operations is an abomination that ignores the facts and the law. I never thought I would see the Supreme Court rubber stamp the most egregious and illegal censorship campaign in American history. But here we are. What a joke.
Couldn't have said it better.
And then he points out, he says one of the most insidious intended effects of government censorship is self-censorship. By punishing others for what they say and believe, tyrannical governments terrorize their citizens' own thoughts by creating every incentive for them to just be quiet. But in its abominable opinion, effectively greenlighting government censorship, the Supreme Court explicitly mocked the mere concept of self-censorship and said it is little more than a citizen inflicting harm on himself for no reason. Citizens cannot, this is in quotes and what the opinion said, citizens cannot manufacture standing merely by inflicting harm on themselves based on their fears of hypothetical future harm that is not certainly impending. In quotes, the anti-free speech majority wrote in its opinion, and this majority was 6-3.
And like he said, his very last sentence in that post, this is the language of tyrants.
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, but this has really, really upset me. I'm like ready to scream and holler because just like James said a while ago, free speech
Is absolute.
You are my enemy if you take my free speech away. You're my enemy.
Here we go. And you remember back last month or so when they come out with the anti-Semitic bill. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And remember my stance upon that then.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not saying I support Israel. I'm not saying I support Palestine. My stance on this is the fact that what the government has done now is taken the First Amendment and completely ignored it, passed a bill that says you can't speak your mind out about Israel and say things that are what's on your mind, the way you express yourself, whether it's truthful, whether it's hateful, whether it's not. Point is, you have the God-given right to speak your mind and to say what you want to say.
Well, and I agree with that. The thing that really just gets me right here is conservatives have been banned from all social media. We've had to do the parallel economy thing.
Yes.
Just so we can have our own speech.
Exactly.
You know, that's not harmful.
Exactly.
That's not having to start over. That's not, having to use money and resources and
time and
effort to start a whole new parallel economy over the fact that social media is liberal and they don't like what conservatives say. Now, how fair is that?
And see, that's the point with this is if you go to a conservative site, they don't censor a leftist views. Matter of fact, they bring those leftist views out for you to look at, to read, and make your own decision.
Open mind.
Open mind. Exactly.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Seriously, we need to leave all liberal-leaning social media now. You need to leave them. You need to get off of YouTube.
Let me tell you
what. You need
what.
to get off of Facebook and Instagram, and you need to leave them. And TikTok, because TikTok is liberal because the liberals have put their thumb on them. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. But if we can't have free speech, why be on there? And X, I'm sorry, but X is not the free speech platform everyone says it is.
That Elon claims that it is. That's for sure.
It is not.
No,
it is
not.
only free speech for those that have thousands of followers. If you don't have that, then you don't. Your speech is shadow banned.
Well, and even now, small accounts, especially, just like with mine, because I refuse to give Elon $11 a month.
That's right. I mean, if you don't have a check mark, which I have a check mark, but that's the only way that I can live stream, and that's not fair.
Well, going along with that too, with my being a small account and me not giving Elon $11 a month, you know what I mean? And I've seen it happen, and it's across the board. I can pretty much guarantee you that I've seen enough of the probable spam content that they like to drop you down.
Yes.
And that's what they're doing to you is the smaller accounts. When you make comments on these accounts, it drops you to the bottom, lists you as probable spam, and hides you away. They don't ban you outright.
No.
To me, this is the same thing that was going on in 20 during COVID and during the election.
It's just a different way.
Just a different way under a different name. It's the exact same thing. And Elon can sit there and tout his free speech all he wants to, but until he gets a handle on that right there and fixes these algorithms to be the way that they should be so that everybody has equal access and equal opportunity.
Which he keeps saying, open source is coming. I haven't seen it yet. Have you?
Ain't seen nothing. No, ain't seen nothing yet. And that's our Elon rant.
So we're very upset, as you can tell, about this one. The next one we're going to talk about is Snyder versus the United States. I know this one isn't as big as that other one, but it is very important, and it goes along with what's happening out there in the world right now. I know everybody's heard about what's going on. They're attacking our Chief Justice Thomas over some alleged bribery. You know, the fact that he was giving gifts and used planes to go and visit people and stuff like that. And so this is very important. I think they come out and say, hey, well, we'll do this on this side, even though that one was the worst one. And then we'll give you this. This is a little pat on the head. Yeah, the Supreme Court is getting on my nerves.
And this case with Snyder versus the U.S. deals with the difference between bribery or gratuity. You know, it's a case about the construction of federal bribery laws, which make it a crime for state and local officials to corruptly accept a bribe. The question before the court was whether the law makes it a crime for those officials to accept gratuities that may be given as a token of appreciation after the official act. In mafia terms, what do you call that? A kickback.
Yes.
Protection money.
The answer, the court says, is no. State and local governments often regulate the gifts that state and local governments may accept. The federal law does not supplement those state and local rules by subjecting 19 million state and local officials to up to 10 years in federal prison for accepting even commonplace gratuities. Rather, the federal law leaves it to state and local governments to regulate gratuities to state and local officials. Jackson, in her dissent, notes that the defendant in this case was convicted by a jury of violating the federal law after he steered more than $1 million in city contracts to a local truck dealership, which then gave him a check for $13,000 as a consulting fee. She said Snyder's absurd and atextual reading of the statute is one only today's court could love.
So what happened was they got the contract through this city official's ties to Peterbilt, correct? I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they award them the contract, he receives a $13,000 gratuity check for a consulting fee.
Yes.
Yeah. This is some mob bullshit.
And the thing
man.
is, Kavanaugh's opinion notes in closing that Congress can always change the law if it wishes to do so, but since 1986, it has not. Presumably because Congress understands that state and local governments may and often do regulate gratuities to state and local officials. That says it all right there. I mean, seriously, Congress could change the law, but they're not going to change the law because they take kickbacks.
Exactly.
They do.
So here we go.
This happens all the time. Everyone does it. And this really goes to what we were talking about with Justice Thomas. The fact that the Democrats keep coming out and accusing him of taking bribes. Hey, this fixes that. So there you go.
There you go.
Win on our side on that one.
Transform your business with Shopify, the leading e-commerce platform designed for entrepreneurs of all levels. Shopify makes it easy to create a stunning online store with customizable templates and a user-friendly interface. Manage your inventory, process payments, and track your sales, all from one seamless dashboard. With built-in search engine optimization and marketing tools, you can reach more customers and grow your business faster. Plus, Shopify's secure and reliable hosting ensures your site is always up and running, backed by 24/7 customer support. Join over 1 million businesses worldwide who trust Shopify to power their online stores. Start your free 14-day trial today at Shopify.com and see how easy it is to sell online, in-store, and everywhere in between. Take the next step toward e-commerce success with Shopify.
Yesterday on CNN, the Speaker Mike Johnson surprised everybody by coming out and talking to Caitlin Collins. Listen to what he has to say.
This evening that the House of Representatives is weighing in and actually taking an official position on what we're on the verge of seeing happening on Monday. Steve Bannon reporting to prison for defying a congressional subpoena and failing to respond to that. Can you confirm that the House is expected to take an official position on that? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, I can confirm that. We'll be filing a brief in that legal proceeding. We think that's really important to do. We think the previous statement of the House under Speaker Pelosi was incorrect. We do not believe the January 6th special committee was properly constituted. We don't think it followed the House rules. And now we're finding under our own investigation that they may have in fact covered up some evidence. That's a great concern to a lot of people. You'll see a lengthy report come out on that. But in the meantime, when they're using that to prosecute people, we think it's important for the House's position to be known, the current House, and that is that we don't believe that that was a proper committee, properly constituted, that did appropriate work. The court should take that into consideration, and I think we have an obligation to make that position known.
Do you worry that that will undercut your ability to enforce congressional subpoenas in the future, though?
No, not at all. You got two totally different matters. I mean, we're going to court, by the way, to enforce the subpoena against Merrick Garland. The Judiciary Committee is going to proceed in the court to make sure that the audio tape of the lengthy interview with the special counsel and President Biden is turned over to Congress. We have a right to see it. In fact, we have an obligation, a necessity to hear that audio, to make sure that it matches with the written transcript that Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, turned over to the House.
Okay.
You know, you got a conflict between the two branches. We're using Article 1 of the Constitution as we're supposed to do.
And of course, Steve Bannon was no longer working in the executive branch when he had his subpoena for the time period that it was relevant to. We'll see how this pans out, how the Supreme Court takes it. House Speaker Mike Johnson, thank you.
I mean, she wants to point out at the very end there about, well, he wasn't in the administration, but does not matter. They love to point out that he was not in the administration at the time of the subpoena. Well, no, he wasn't, but it's still all one and the same. You still get the executive order if you talk to the president while he was president.
Exactly. You know, you hear him, he comes out here, this dude comes out here every week with some bullshit like this, and it's almost like he's wanting you to stand there and hand clap for him because he's doing something great.
Pat him on the head.
Golf clap. But look, dude, the thing with whether the January 6th committee was legitimate or not has been an issue since the January 6th committee was even convened. It's been an issue for 3 years now. And now, all of a sudden, at the very last moment, what the hell, dude? Look at what you've done by your inaction as a member of Congress and as a Speaker of the House. I'm not going to let him slide and go, well, he just becomes Speaker. No, dude, you've been there all this time.
Yes.
Why now did it take the BLAG to come up with this vote? Why did it take so long for all this to happen when we're looking at Monday?
Yeah. And the thing is, Chairman Barry Loudermilk has come out with all kinds of information for months now. And he continues to say that his efforts are intensifying to challenge the legitimacy of the January 6th Select Committee. Coordinated actions by House Republicans come in response to recent developments surrounding the prosecution of former Trump advisors Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, both sentenced to contempt of Congress related to the committee's investigation. Loudermilk says, my committee has spent the past year and a half turning over every rock, examining every shred of evidence, and investigating the entirety of operations of Vice Chair Liz Cheney and Chair Benny Thompson's Select Committee on January 6th. We have resoundingly discovered they were not completely truthful with the American people. They had little regard for House rules, with no regard for transparency. They suppressed key pieces of evidence, cherry-picked evidence that supported their narrative, and played a $20 million blame game to frame President Trump and Republicans. And this goes back to exactly what just happened in the Supreme Court. Republicans are always being pounded. It's always their fault. Then we come back and we always find out that the Democrats did it. But on Monday, finally, Jim Bakes, he set the stage with a pointed letter to Speaker Mike Johnson, expressing gratitude for supporting Loudermilk's investigation into the committee's conduct. Banks criticized the committee for alleged partisan bias, procedural violations, and issues with its subpoenas, highlighting discrepancies from traditional congressional norms and raising concerns over evidence destruction. He specifically urged support for an amicus brief to aid Bannon's appeal, emphasizing fairness and procedural integrity. And these efforts are culminated by the BLAG, like you said, the Bipartisan Legal Advisory Group. They voted 3-2 to officially, which is among party lines, to officially declare the January 6th committee and all its subpoenas as illegitimate, exposing a deepening, pardoning divide over the committee's actions and setting the stage for a significant legal confrontation. So we're in prayers that this does work for Steve Bannon. And honestly, I hope that Peter Navarro gets out of jail because of this. Why didn't they do this sooner? Why didn't they do this when Peter Navarro was up to go into prison? I understand that Steve Bannon has pushed it. He knows the law. He knows what's going on. He's researched this. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. We want to hat tip Matt Gaetz for actually bringing it up on the Timcast show not too long ago, and it is finally coming to fruition, and we're going to see where it goes. But we pray for Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro and hope they're free at last.
Free Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro.
Rest in peace. Free speech.
Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James, and that's my lovely co-host over there,
Denise.
And we'll see you next time.
We're out.